Well, a very good morning once again, and thanks very much for watching NBS Television. This is The Morning Breeze, and this part of the show is called The Breakfast Meeting. Later, Bashir Khan will be coming in with a sport. But we thought of something here, something different, where, of course, as Ugandans, we've eventually taken ourselves to the side where they say we have the worst reading culture, as in we don't like reading and writing at the same time. That has been said. At a point, I found someone's comment on Facebook, a friend of mine, who had written and said that, thank God for Facebook. Now Ugandans can be able to write and read, which I think in one way or the other maybe can help out on taking away the tradition that we've maintained for quite some time. And this morning on the breakfast meeting, as you so know, that we take time to meet people who have got establishments, people who can educate us and as well inspire us in one way or the other. We will take it to the side of writing and as well reading in one way or the other. And to introduce in the studios, please come with me and let's meet Professor Michael Kaluya, who happens to be the author of the book Audacity of Change. Well, he comes from this country and the like, but also stays in the United States of America, as we'll come to know if at all I ever make a mistake to that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Allow me to call you Professor Michael.
Sure.
On the show.
No problem.
So who is Professor Michael, for anyone who would like to know?
Professor Michael Kaluya is a Ugandan. He happens to be born in this blessed country, and he attended part of his education in this country, primary school and secondary school.
Which schools, if you might be?
I went to Mwiri Primary School.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, partly Mwiri Primary School and Namalemba Boarding Primary School. From there, I went to Musoga College, Mwiri. I attended my O-levels over there. And I proceeded to Makerere High School, where I finished my A-levels. I didn't go to any of the universities in Uganda. I went to the United States of America, where I had to go and work on a Bachelor of Business Administration degree, majoring in finance and economics. That was Dallas Baptist University. I proceeded to do a Master of Business Administration in the same institution. And from there, I went to a university called the University of Texas at Dallas, where I took a Master's of Science in International Political Economy. I also added on another Master's in Political Science. Currently, I'm working on a PhD in Public Policy and Administration.
Wow.
And I'm mainly interested in understanding how effective institutions can operate.
But assuming the sky is the limit, you're putting everything together.
Sure.
Are you a family man?
I am married, and I have 4 children.
Wow, congratulations.
We all live in Dallas, Texas, United States.
Well, now let's get down here to a few things that you've put together. The audacity to change is, you know, I'm just looking at this book, and I actually saw this book yesterday. Okay. And I was like, wow, this is something really good. Let's first talk about things that you might know about Uganda, especially when it comes to writing and reading. What's your analysis about Ugandans?
I've read so much about the culture of reading in Uganda and in Africa in general. It is a bit lacking. And Ugandans of my caliber and Ugandans that are interested in seeing both the country and the continent develop, we need to encourage a reading culture in this country. As we go into the discussions, I will expose you to what we call abundant and scarcity mentalities, which distinguishes us from the developed world and the developing nations. Yeah.
As a writer, were you born a writer, or
I wasn't born a writer. I wasn't born a writer. Everything begins with the learning.
So how did you get into writing?
I started writing when I was at Musoga College, Mwiri. We had a paper called, if I can recollect, The New Mwirians. And I remember very well, one of the gentlemen is a prominent journalist in this country. His name is Andrew Mwenda. He was the chief editor for that paper. So I started writing. Some of my articles were rejected by Mwenda, some of them were not. And even when I proceeded to Makerere High School, still was another gentleman called Daniel Kalinachi.
So, was he the chief editor still at that time?
Kalinachi was the editor for the Mark High Times.
I hope he wasn't rejecting your articles.
Well, he was accepting some.
And rejecting some.
Yeah, just. Yeah, so, but when I went to the United States, I developed the culture of writing, and I've contributed a lot of articles in the New Vision. I've contributed a lot of articles in the Monitor publications, and some other publications across the continent of Africa.
So eventually, would you, regard yourself as a writer? Are you a writer? Like,
I am a writer from the academic perspective.
Okay, the book Audacity to Change: Breaking the Berlin Wall in Africa, is written by Michael D Kaluya, Dallas, Texas, USA. Tell us about this.
This book has been a work of mine since I graduated with my MBA, my Master of Business Administration. I started looking at what things I needed to address in terms of writing, because I'd written so much of articles. So I thought of writing a book, and I came up with it in 2004. I, relaxingly writing one page at a time. And I did not get enough gas, I would call it, in 2006, 2007, and finally 2010, when we had to get the book published by one of the publication, the publishers in the United States. Yeah.
And the content to this, what exactly are we going to discover here?
We are discovering a lot of issues to do with African development. There are so many things that have not been going right in Africa in terms of economic development. I know so many people can say about economic development in Africa, but there is a body of literature that addresses economic development in Africa. I try to go into that to be able to be part of the people that are contributing to that body of knowledge. And a lot of my references came out of some of the literature within the body of economic development, especially in the developing world. My intention to write the book basically was to add to the knowledge that is existing in economic development. I also wanted to stimulate some kind of intellectual conversation within the leaders of Africa and the politicians especially, because some of these politicians, leaders in businesses, in institutions, academics, and so on, we need to develop some culture of looking at issues and to see if these are issues that can enable our continent to develop.
Now at the end of the day, let's just bring it to what's happening currently across Africa. Now that we do have Africa, and when we talk about Africa, of course, it goes beyond borders of Uganda. You've seen what's been happening to North Africa and, of course, countries close to that. Could it be right, would you appreciate demonstrations as a path of breaking the Berlin Wall in African minds?
Demonstrations depict a free and democratic society. I believe that Africa is democratizing. So demonstrations are part of that. When and how they are conducted, that's the question. I know that you can demonstrate for policymakers, for politicians to hear your voice and be able to maybe channel some policy initiatives that can address some of the concerns that demonstrators are trying to project out there. Demonstrations, I have to say that they are supposed to be conducted within the law. If you're not abiding by the law, basically somebody is going to stop you and put you in the right path. So I would suggest that demonstrations are part and parcel of breaking the Berlin walls in Africa.
Well, in case you've just joined us this morning, we are exchanging with Professor Michael Kaluya, who among other accomplishments, is a writer. There's a book writer called The Audacity to Change, Breaking the Wall Berlin in Africa. It's just giving us brief notes to that. I'm certain someone is interested now in finding out what's on the inside. That includes me. Now, I'm wondering, how do you think your book is going to impact on the readers?
I'm not sure, but I feel that as this book is already just circulating around the world. It is circulating across all the 6 continents through different websites and bookstores. This is the first time that I'm doing a book, maybe interview, but I wanted it to do it in Uganda because that's where I was born. But I feel that the readers of this book will be able to understand and conceptualize better the African development paradigm. We may live in this continent, but failing to understand what actually goes on and what we can contribute to the development process of our nation. So I believe that readers, they could be Africans, they could be people that are supporting Africa. They need to understand what the continent looks like, what the continent wants. Being an African, I try to look at issues that I feel that are African. And I'm always an advocate of African solutions for African problems. So this book addresses such stuff which can heal the problems of Africa. So the readers will appreciate some of my solutions that I'm trying to advocate in the book.
Now, Professor, could you please give us a message of encouragement to the readers and as well to the writers?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier on about 2 concepts. One is abundant mentality, and the other one is caste mentality. Africa is normally associated with what we call caste mentality. That is to mean that we are always in a waiting realm, in a waiting, we have this idea that if I have something, I should prevent somebody else to have it. Okay, you've had issues like the political cake is too small to be shared across the continent of Africa. You've had issues that if I'm rich, somebody else has to be poor before I become rich. You know what I'm saying? Now, the developed world have what we call abundant mentality, where they believe that there is an opportunity for everybody, an opportunity to achieve, an opportunity to go to school, an opportunity to self-develop yourself, to be able to make a contribution to the development of the society. That is lacking in Africa. Not necessarily Uganda, but across the continent of Africa. You're going to find that people that have will not always provide an opportunity to other people that don't have to have the same opportunity to be able to contribute to the development process of the continent.
Thank you, Professor, for coming on the show. And, well, I would request, how do we get the book? How do we?
The book in Uganda is going to be carried by Aristoc bookstores, and I'm also looking at Mukono bookstores to carry the book. Those of you who can purchase the books online, it's available on Amazon.com. It's available on my publisher's website, which is iuniverse.com. It may take longer to get here if you're ordering it online, because it may take about 4 weeks.
Okay. Can I be able to download it?
Yes, you are able to download it and read it in a PDF file. You know, there are so many ways you should be able to read it electronically online.
Thanks again, Professor.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Well, we've been exchanging with Professor Michael D Kaluya, who comes from Dallas, Texas, but of course is Ugandan. His book, The Audacity to Change, will be in stores quite very soon. Could be one of those books that you can read about under the title Breaking the Berlin Wall in Africa. Stay with us. Bashir Gurukan will be stepping in with Premier Sport.